You guys are going to be shocked to hear this.
I'm not shocked to hear
you're not going to be shocked to hear this at all, okay? But just I'm going to tell you anyway that DOGE says that they have uncovered mass immigration fraud.
No.
Right?
Come on. No.
Right?
No.
Right?
Shock face.
I know. Thank you. So they said that they have uncovered millions of illegal immigrants who were granted Social Security numbers, driver's licenses, voter registration under the Biden administration. Again, I'm sure that Joe Biden winning in the most secure, safest election ever by record numbers, more votes than Barack Obama, I'm sure that those two things are not correlated at all. Okay. And of course, we had a mainstream media, legacy media at the time that refused to do any sort of digging. Well, DOGE did. And there it is. DOGE exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Hold on. Can we see the others? I just want to make fun of Matt really quick. Can we do that?
What, you want to put?
Look at that zebra. Look at that
I'm a zebra. I'm a zebra. Look at me.
Zebra. Okay, that's enough. So we had Antonio Gracias, who is, of course, a volunteer with DOGE, Elon Musk, and all of them saying this is not just a loophole, it's a deliberate system, actually. Non-citizens are filing for asylum, they're getting work authorization, and then that's automatically triggering a Social Security number. So from there, driver's licenses, voter rolls, benefits, and, of course, in some cases, voting. And so I want to play some of Antonio Gracias on this scheme. Watch.
1.3 million of them are on Medicaid right now. And we looked at the voter rolls and we found that thousands of them are registered to vote in a handful of states. I mean, it is shockingly bad. And this is the tip of the iceberg, guys. We mapped the system from enumeration, that's how you get your number, all the way to the end, went to the offices and saw how the offices operate. And in that process, one of our engineers found this data called enumeration beyond entry. It had this giant ramp to it. And that just jumped out at us. And we're like, what is that? And so we dug into it. What happened was this program was designed for people that we want to let in, like the CARE program, which are the Afghans. They would be in this number. What jumped out at us wasn't that this is here because it has legitimate use. It's the growth. Why did it grow this fast? That's what we dug into. What we find here is that a legitimate program was, the word I'll use, abused. So they allowed people that were illegals at the border to come in legally. They were giving people at times notices to appear. And what that allows you to do is come in the country and then you're scheduled a court date, which is like 6 years out. 6 years out is the average, by the way. It could be longer than that. And while you're waiting for your court date, you could fill out an asylum application. Once the application's in, you can file another form, 765, to get a work authorization. Once you get that, you get a 766, and we automatically send you a Social Security card in the mail. No interview at all. That is the majority of the growth you see in these numbers. We found that every benefit program we looked at was being accessed by these people. 1.3 million of them are on Medicaid right now, today. And by the way, it's just ramping, it's just starting. And we looked at voter rolls and we found that thousands of them are registered to vote in a handful of states. And then we went even further with those friendly states and found that many of those people had actually voted. It was shocking to us. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. And this is the tip of the iceberg.
By the way, that man is a Democrat donor. Major Democrat donor. This is not someone who is some partisan hack for the Republicans just trying to stir up division. This is a man who said, you know what, I'm going to help you guys root out all of this fraud and corruption. And the more he uncovers, the more he's like, holy crap, I had no idea that my money was funding this party who clearly is like, this is really bad stuff. So their internal data showed a spike in non-citizen Social Security numbers under Joe Biden. Of course, I mean, we saw the floodgates open at the border. We saw millions upon millions of people coming into this country. And obviously in what I would call an endgame. I know you're not supposed to say the great replacement theory. It's not a theory. It's just happening. We watched it happen for 4 years. And then you wonder, well, maybe that has something to do with the Wisconsin Supreme Court vote that just happened not that long. You know, you see these things happen and you're like, we can't trust the system at all anymore. Some of these votes and the turnouts make a whole lot more sense. Looking at you, Joe Biden. And so now you have this, you have all of this happening, and then you have fallout at the IRS that's happening because you have Acting Commissioner Melanie Krause, who just quit days after the agency signed a deal to share tax data on all of these illegals with DHS. So apparently this was like a a temper tantrum that she threw because she was mad that they decided to do this. And so she resigned in protest. Sources told the Washington Post, Melanie Krause has been leading the IRS through a time of extraordinary change, and that the department was in the midst of breaking down data silos that for too long have stood in the way of identifying waste, fraud, and abuse and bringing criminals to justice. Imagine protesting over the federal government having oversight and looking into potential waste, fraud, and corruption. Like actually imagine being a person who is upset about that. And why are they always Democrats?
Because that's their ideology.
It is.
I mean, but the bottom line, though, is what are the consequences? I mean, we're talking about treason. You're talking about undermining your own national sovereignty. You're talking about granting, privileges and rights and benefits to people that are here illegally. And let's not forget, all the states that Kamala Harris did win, they were states that didn't have voter ID.
Yeah.
So that just tells you how deep this thing is. But if they get away with it, that just means that you're rewarding them and they're going to continue to do it. So I want to see the FBI follow up on this. I want to see the Department of Justice follow up on this. I want these people to be held accountable for what they have done. Mm-hmm. And I don't want, panicans to freak out again saying, well, we don't want to do that because, we don't want to go down that path. We don't want to be like them. Screw that. Let's be like them.
Yeah.
Okay? And let's make them afraid to ever do this again.
Yeah, exactly right. And I don't disagree with you. I always feel like it's such a false argument, though, to say we don't want to be like them. It's like, but they're the ones who are actually doing it.
Yes.
So it may, on the surface, you could say we don't want to be like them. But it's like, okay, well, if they're the real criminals and they're trying to lock up President Trump on bogus charges, 91 indictments of just total BS, and they're actually committing crimes, then yeah, I mean, I do want to do that to them because they are the real criminals. They're just projecting it onto us. And I completely agree with you. They will keep doing it until there is actual real accountability and arrests and prison time served.
Yeah, well, look, there are, if you notice what he said there, he said friendly states, right? He didn't say the unfriendly states. Mm-hmm. So the reason why it's the tip of the iceberg is because there are millions, not thousands, there are millions of illegals, let's just call it what it is, in states like my former state, the communist state of California. There are thousands there, millions are there, and thousands in other states. So it's amazing when you think, let's give them credit, that the Trump administration got elected. Their ground game was amazing to stop as much fraud as they possibly could. Because we know, look, when I was in California, we were seriously thinking that they were going to flip California in 2020. Like, for the first time, I'd see people drive down the streets with Trump flags. You never saw that. There were people at the gym with Trump T-shirts. So we all said, didn't we? We all said, no. The election was rigged. And guess what? By the way, this is a big thing out to the social media giants that censored you if you ever said that. Right? That is the action of a communist regime, right? Let's just say it how it is. Nothing like you said, Alan. To stop this ever happening again, it has to be pursued to the very end, and people have to go to jail. And it's because they did something against the United States. That's what it is. And the reason why she, of course, to normal logical, reasonable people, you look and go, well, hang on a second. They broke the law, so they should be punished. These other people are like, hang on a second. It doesn't matter that they broke the law because it got me what I wanted politically.
Right.
So that is a banana republic. That's what that is.
A what?
Banana republic. A zebra with a banana.
Gosh, it does sound way cooler when he says it his way.
It does. More intelligent.
It does, and I just hate that.
You have permission to say zebra.
Zebra and a banana.
Yes.
And you know what? I've used that to the fullest of my ability because I'm dumb as a box of rocks, but I sound very smart.
When you say banana republic, I feel smarter for having heard you say it like that. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you know you do. Click here.